This is the Alex in the Art Gallery podcast, a podcast to give you an in-depth look of the inner workings of the Walter E. Terhune Art Gallery on Outcast OCCR, Owens Community College Radio. In this podcast, intern Alex Drabeck will be interviewing the Walter E. Terhune Art Gallery manager Shelby Stutes, who will give us a better understanding of what the gallery has to offer. Here's your host, Alex Drabeck.
My name is Alex Drabeck. I want to welcome Shelby Stutes for speaking with me today. She is the Walter E. Terhune Art Gallery manager at Owens Community College. She's been with the gallery for a little over 4 years now and has curated many different art shows, including Art in the Age of Solidarity, Big Red Exhibition, Hiding in Plain Sight, Poverty. She has created art exhibitions like the Artists in Residence program, the Passages Juried Art Show, and has received the Ohio Arts Council grant called Art Start. Shelby, how are you doing today?
I'm well. Thanks for having me, Alex. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been wanting to do this for a while now, and I was really excited to do this. So I wanted to ask you, what was the moment that got you into this profession that you currently are in?
Oh gosh, that's an awesome question. I was actually thinking about it the other day. So when I was in high school, I actually got accepted into the Toledo Museum of Art, had a high school kind of art club. So it was certain students that were selected to be a part of this group. We would meet once a month and we'd get together, kind of do different projects, learn more about the museum, and do some really cool things. So one thing I remember in particular is like we actually got to see the basement of the museum, which was kind of creepy. We did a sleepover in the museum and we got to walk through at night. It was really cool. But part of that club, we got to pick a project for what we wanted to do and execute it. And my project was to curate an exhibit. It was really fun. We all got to submit artwork, and they had the community gallery. They do now, but it's a little different looking than it was back when I was in high school. But we all submitted our artwork, and I got a chance to work with full-blown curators and help install the artwork for the show and have a little opening. So that really sparked my interest, and I'm like, okay, I could do this for a living.
That's awesome. So I'm assuming that whole experience that was over the course of 5 or 6 months. Tell me how that whole process went down.
Yeah, so the whole club lasted about a year. So it was probably about like my senior year in college. Yes, I was in my senior year of college when I participated in the club. But it actually only took like a couple months. So the planning took about like a few weeks to get the exhibit planned and logistics. So it's like, hey, bring your artwork this day. We need to get it together. And then I installed it over a course of like a few days. It was a pretty quick process.
I'm sure that was a lot of work.
It was fun though, because we had a lot of people. It wasn't just me doing it, and we had a professional helping us. So it just really made me realize what a cool profession it was.
That's awesome. I don't think I could ever do that. That sounds like too much work.
There's a process to it, and I think anybody could really do it. I've gotten it kind of down to a science for some of my student employees, and you try to teach them something simple so it's more of a joyful experience than it's like, this is tedious.
Have you always had a passion for art in your life?
Yes. Yeah. Ever since I was little, I've always loved to draw. I've always loved creating things. I can't even remember, that my mom has like pictures of when I was little and drawing. And I continued that throughout elementary school. It was a huge influence for me in high school. So more of the creative side, but the actual curation part came a little later.
I'm sure your mom takes out the baby pictures when she wants to embarrass you.
Yes.
This is Shelby when she was making this art project.
Yes. I love the pictures where oh my gosh, I had so much baby fat, my face was a square. So it was always great, like showing it. I was like, oh yeah, look at Shelby, she's just a square. It's like, thanks, Mom, appreciate it.
If it makes you feel any better, I looked a lot like Spanky when I was a kid, so I get that.
Lisa's like a memorable character.
Yeah.
It's like Shelby's a square.
So in terms of goals for the gallery, what are your goals for the Walter E. Terhune Art Gallery?
Yes. So when I first started, it was interesting walking into the space because they had some curators that were kind of in and out at the time. Some like students and some employees were taking care of it, but there was no like full-fledged person there. So when I first started, I had a few goals of it's like, okay, I need to get consistent artwork in this space because it was, sometimes we'd have pieces once in a while. We didn't really have a consistent schedule. So goal number one was we need to have a consistent schedule so people know there's art in here constantly. We do have something going on every time of the year. Goal number two was actually like getting people to know that we existed because it's still to this day, which is really interesting. We have people who walk in, they're like, I didn't know this place existed. This is here. And that kind of happens. I think it's a thing about Owens anyways. We have a lot of surprising and awesome things going on, and, we still need to get the word spread. So letting people know the gallery existed and just to work with the community. I know a lot of the shows focused on like faculty art and student art shows, which is great. That's what we're working on currently, and it's one of my favorite shows that we install. But I wanted to really connect with the community because we're a community college. The space is for everybody.
Absolutely. What's the turnout for most of these shows that you guys put on?
Gosh, so it's actually cool to see we have had a steady increase. So when I first started, maybe about like 20 people, maybe 30 for a reception. But now we're consistently getting like 50. That's the average. But our student art shows, we just had a Passages High School art show. We're getting like hundreds. So we had about 150 last year for the student art show and 300 for Passages this year. So it's good to see an increase.
That's incredible. So in terms of these shows that you've been putting on and how you are still doing them, what do you want to see in the next 3 or 4 years? Like, what do you want to improve on? How do you want to add to this to add more levity to the gallery?
Yeah. Gosh, in 3 to 5 years, if I don't want to say if we could be a main destination, but kind of like how the Toledo Museum of Art is. You come to Toledo, what do you see? It's like there's some cool restaurants that you like to go to. There's some really cool museums, and Toledo Museum of Art is one of them. I know one of the things I suggest to people is like, you got to check out this museum. It's really cool. So I would love to be put on the map where maybe not like a main location, but like at least a secondary location of like, hey, you need to check out Owens. Like they've got this really cool gallery. They have some really cool upcoming artists. They always have something cool going on. I would love to be a destination on the map, I think.
Maybe at some point you can have the Toledo Art Museum be part of these shows with you guys.
Yes. I have been trying to work on a few collaborations with them. It's so interesting. It's a little different because they mostly work on like historic art, but they have just recently revamped their community gallery. So that's the gallery I got to work with in high school. So they've really have like upped the ante on it, and I'm hoping I could kind of draw upon that as well. It's like, hey, you have a community artist, can we split the show maybe? It's like you can have part of it downtown Toledo and then we could have part of it as well. So we can kind of hit multiple locations in that area. But I love that idea. I would love to find more collaboration opportunities with them.
Yeah, and I think it would bring more awareness to the community and bring everybody together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there's so many talented people there, and it's just we're really fortunate to have a museum in this area that of this caliber. So any kind of partnership, I would love.
Absolutely. Where did you go to school growing up, and how did it affect the career path that you decided to go into?
Oh gosh, that's a really good question. So I went to Otsego High School, so that's like Tintagny, Ohio. Grew up in Grand Rapids, Ohio, so very, very homegrown. I didn't move very far. But my high school art teacher, she was the one who really just, motivated me to pursue this career, to really make things happen. So her name is Mrs. Bowers, as how I call her name is Mrs. Bowers. She's still there, which is really awesome. She's still doing amazing things for the students. But she was just so encouraging. She's like, oh, you want to make that? Make it happen. Oh, that's a really cool idea. follows through with it. And she was still able to create like amazing lessons off of the creativity too, which I think is always difficult. It's like you have this kid who wants to make this thing. It's like, how do you change it into a lesson plan and so they can learn skills throughout the process? And yeah, I give her a lot of credit for that. And then going into BGSU, Bowling Green State University, that was another just step up for me. I had an awesome welding professor named Ben Locke, and he taught me how to weld, how to metal cast, and create sculpture. And he was in the same boat of, yeah, you want to curate exhibits? Sure. He's like, we'll create an independent program for you so you can go make that happen.
That's very interesting. Were there any art pieces that meant a lot to you, like looking back on those projects now?
Oh man, so like art pieces I created or pieces other people have created?
Let's start with what you've created.
Oh gosh. So one in particular, in my high school career, my high school art teacher, her focus was actually like ceramics. So she actually showed me how to build with clay, so slab building. So it's a little different. Pottery ceramics is you're on a wheel, you make more like plates and, more circular, cylindrical objects. But slab building is you just take clay, you cut it, and you build with it essentially. So you mold it into things. And she actually helped me build a Who house.
What's a Who house?
A Who house. So I don't know if you know Dr. Seuss, How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yep.
So the assignment was to build this crazy looking weird house. So we called it a Who house. And it was so much fun. Like I was able to make this really decent sized house. And I was able to fire it, go through the whole process, glaze it. It was just so cool. That was my first sculptural experience. And I'm like, I could totally do this. Drawing is okay. Sculpture's more my thing.
What about painting?
Man, I never really got into painting. I could do it. I was able to, I don't want to say go through the motions, but it's like, yeah, I was able to paint portraits. I was able to paint landscapes, but it just never clicked for me. I was like, this is a great inspiration, but not my cup of tea, I guess you could say.
Understandable. Was it the 3D element of working with clay, being able to see it from all different angles? Whereas if you're just drawing something, it's only a 2D thing that you're looking at. Is that kind of what it was?
Yeah. Just to be able, I agree, seeing it from all different angles. And I think building something with my hands, not that, drawing or painting isn't creating something with your hands, but to use all aspects. It's like, I have to measure how tall this is going to be. And it's like, what's the thickness of this? And how is this going to connect? It's going to fall apart if I don't, connect it correctly. It's something a little different aspect you don't get with 2D artwork.
I didn't know there was that much thinking ahead that you had to worry about.
Yeah, I kind of compare it to like building a house, it's just you have this structure you need to build. It doesn't have to be as accurate depending on the project, but yeah, there's a bunch of pre-planning. If you run out of materials, it's like, okay, well, I gotta go buy more materials and hopefully they have enough materials and that kind of an idea.
That all sounds very interesting. So what was the best part? Well, currently, what's the best part about your job for you?
Oh, gosh. Geez, it's going to be hard to pinpoint, but I think every day is different. There's always something fun, interesting going on. I get to work with a bunch of different artists. They all are different mediums and are doing something different. So that's an awesome aspect, not going into a job and it's the same monotonous thing every day. It's just like, what's going to happen today? What's fun thing? Who do I get to work with and who do I get to converse with and make friendships with?
What's it like doing that with college students?
It is awesome. This is my first job that I got a chance to work with college students. I graduated in 2015, so I started here in 2019. So about a 5-year gap from when I graduated till I started working here. Okay. But oh my gosh, college students are so motivated. Like I feel like they can complete the impossible sometimes. Like it's amazing because the drive, and then they're doing a million things at once as well. They're trying to, work a job, and they're also trying to go through classes. That's been a huge inspiration to me to working here. It's like, man, if I can get, draw from that inspiration, I feel like I could do anything.
That's really cool you say that, because I can tell I'm personally like a very observant person, and it seems like whenever I'm around you, you seem like you really enjoy the environment you're in. So.
That's good. I want to give out those vibes too if I can.
What are some upcoming shows that the people can get excited about for the art gallery?
Yes. So 2024 Student Art Show, that's what we're working on currently. It actually opens this Friday, April 12th. So again, all of very talented students in the visual arts classes, they submitted their artwork, a bunch of judges looked at it, picked out the ones that they wanted, and we're displaying them. So at the opening reception, we'll have an announcement of the award ceremony. So like gold, silver, bronze for each of the different categories. And then in the summer, we have our Artist in Residence program. So Annette Fink, she is a local artist. She'll be having her artwork on display, but she is also working with us to create a mural. So that was part of the grant that I wrote, so we could fund her mural creation and also pay her for that as well.
That's really awesome. Well, I'm glad that you were able to share that with us, because like you said earlier, you're trying to bring more eyes on the gallery, and I think that you guys are doing a really good job.
Yeah, thank you. No, we appreciate it. I was going to say, anytime I can help advertise, I will. I'll jump on that.
What drives you to be the person that you currently are?
Oh, goodness. You're getting all the hard-hitting questions, Alex.
I'm trying.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm trying to get to know you on a deeper level, Shelby.
Jeez. No, that's awesome question. Gosh, I don't know. Like growing up, I've always had an optimistic attitude. And the older you get, the world gets kind of rough. You're just like, oh, this is, the world's not as great of a place as you thought it was. The older you get, you run into more challenges, and being an adult isn't the easiest thing, So I think my optimism is what really has driven me to this point. It's like, you got to be optimistic. In this world, you can't do that. You have to, push forward and, put a smile on your face. I'd like to think that I help other people smile, and that helps encourage them as well.
I think you do. I have been working with you for around 3 months now, and with me being in my internship that I am currently in, you have made it a very enjoyable experience for me. So.
That's awesome. Gosh. Hey, it goes both ways. You've been very dedicated. You've been awesome to work with. And you've also opened my eyes to a lot of awesome things that can be done with broadcast media. So I appreciate you being so dedicated.
I'm trying my best. This is all new for me. So it's been very exciting so far. So
Good.
Do you have any goals for yourself in the foreseeable future?
Oh, gosh. Well, outside of work, I'd like to actually win my class for autocross, if that's one of those goals.
Hey, anything counts.
Yeah, anything counts. But yeah, I race. I have a race car. I race outside of work, and I've gotten close. I've won a few class titles, but our competition has grown, which is great. So I'd like to win first for that. But goals inside of work, gosh, just to make the CFPA, Center for Fine and Performing Arts, just a really cool hub where people can come see some really great artwork. It could be artwork, it could be performing events, musical events, anything. Just to have it an awesome place.
That's awesome. All right. You know what? I think that is the end of our interview.
Awesome.
I think it went really well. Thank you so much, Shelby, for being a part of this with me today. I had a great time. This is the Walter E. Terhune Art Gallery interview with Shelby Stutes. Thank you all for listening today. Have a great one.
This has been the Alex in the Art Gallery podcast.